After a lot of practice.
We're back.
We're
You
back.
got a smile on your face?
Hey, champions. Welcome back. How are you?
Doing well. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a couple of Tuesdays, huh?
Yeah, we missed a couple Tuesdays.
Wednesdays, technically.
We always launch on Fridays, though, so technically we're missing a couple Fridays behind.
Yeah. Well, we got the your fall classic in, and then I left town,
Yep.
and we didn't really have a lot of meat on the table to put out there in this gap. But I don't think anyone minds. It seems like everyone and their brother is putting this Christmas vlogs out right now, so
Yeah.
no one's hurting for weird content.
Everybody wants 12 days content. Everybody. 12 days of Christmas.
I know it's out there, and they're giving away a lot of stuff, so everyone's kind of paying attention to it. I get it.
I'm going to do a Hanukkah just to go against the grain.
Oh, you're already late for that, though, aren't you?
Yeah, probably. I don't pay much attention.
All right, that's pretty perfect. I see a mountain of discs in front of us, so I know you've got something up your sleeve, and these are all signature discs, so this is a great topic.
So, yeah, what I wanted to hit on here is that there's Tour Series and Signature Series discs. All the companies do them for their players. And when you kind of look at the table, not all companies do an equal share on their Signature Series discs. And some sell so much better than others. Just from my viewpoint of the Lozatals, I couldn't keep on the shelf. Everybody needed a Lozatal. The media hype was there. The disc apparently would fly great. I haven't thrown one, but everybody says they fly amazing. So it kind of doubled down on the selling factor of it. It's got their favorite pro's name on it, and it's a great flying disc.
Right.
A lot of people don't buy this Discraft Tour Series stuff.
These were the hex.
That's a glow hex, yeah.
Yeah. So it was just flying a little bit differently than...
Slightly more stable than a normal hex.
Oh, okay, really?
Yeah. So people could torque on it a little harder and throw it maybe on a little bit more Anheuser than normal. So
are these considered a -1-1?
that's what they call them. I don't know if they changed the flight numbers on the glows.
So this might be more of a...
Yep, -1-1.
This might be more of a 2 on the end?
Yeah, -1-2.
Yeah. Feels good.
Yeah, a lot of people like it.
It's cool.
But
cool.
Then you look at like the Infinite. You got Garrett Gurthie Emperors here, and you have the who's on the nuke. Ezra Aderhold has his Tour Series nukes this year, and although the plastic's gorgeous, people aren't buying the Tour Series version. It costs more, and I don't think it flies any better than a normal ESP nuke that you could get. You could buy a stock stamp that would fly exactly the same. There's really no... I'm wondering why more manufacturers, when they do their Tour Series stuff, do something a little bit more different and desirable, where Discraft doesn't quite seem to hit that type.
But even if this is not by design, that it came out more
stable, sure.
But you're saying do it by design, which means changing a mold.
Or changing the plastic, do a different blend, do something a little bit more exciting than just normal
That's
swirls.
really a one-off for the signature?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because you see Ledgestone doing it all year long, where they blend every plastic under the sun together to do a series, but it's always just a Ledgestone release.
Got it.
So why did they not do that for their pros? Make a really special disc that flies miles better than a normal Scorch, or you say miles better, it all depends on the arm and your preference, but a more desirable disc.
Right.
Design something a little bit more durable, or flies a little straighter, or do something a little different.
Well, at the end of the day, it's all about selling discs.
Yes.
To your point, so they're just cannibalizing on top of another nuke, whereas this could be something, again, to your point, flies differently, more desirable for... Not only are you supporting your favorite player, but you're also maybe getting something that fits the bag a little better.
It's more special.
Yeah, well, that too.
×2. So you see MVP making some really cool stuff. You see Trilogy going above and beyond with their Raptor Eyes, their Orbits, their Ices, their new plastics. And they're doing new plastic blends for their players. As well as MVP doing new plastics for their players. They did the Crave with the blue glow rim.
Very cool.
Put Sarah Hokum on there. The Plasma Zenith.
And this does fly a little bit different.
Oh.
I think.
Are they slightly more stable?
I think they are. I just feel like it never does want to come down.
Still glides
The
well.
Crave is such a glidey disc. It's really, how much fun that is to throw. Everyone knows now how much fun that disc is.
If you didn't know, you should try one.
Oh gosh.
Because it is a really, I don't want to say it's underrated, because a lot of people do quite love that disc and have nothing but good things to say.
Now the Sarah Holcomb plastic I have found to be more stable.
The R2 plastic I've heard to be more stable.
Yes, for sure. And I like that because then I have one that's broken in that I can count on fading a little, and then I carry a newer one that I know is gonna or turning and then fading. I've been gone for 2 weeks, and so golf always comes into my to the front of my cranium. I swear to God, I think about golf, and so fade, turn. No, that's a hook. That's a fade. So I'm sorry, everyone.
No, you're good. I actually had some more golf topic to talk about today too.
Okay.
It's because a customer came in the other day and brought up something about the PDGA and their definition of par.
Okay. Par is relative to?
The definition of par is errorless play.
Yeah.
So what would the score of errorless play be on your regular home course?
Okay. Whatever the number is.
Well, if you define par as errorless play, there should be a lot of par 2s out there. Because if you think of errorless play, hole 1 at Contecito is under 300 feet.
They're not saying like I understand what your point is.
Right.
Right. But it's errorless. They're meaning you're not making a bogey. Or you're making a birdie and a bogey and you're balancing it out, so it's errorless. Or it just is all pars. That to me would be errorless.
Okay.
Your point is, if you park it and you make a birdie, that should be considered errorless.
Yeah.
Right.
If you throw the shot you mean to.
Technically, it's not, though. It's not going to be. It's better than.
Well, better than.
Mm-hmm. Better than par, which is pretty much, I guess, the average of what's expected for that hole.
Okay.
So, errorless, and I understand again where you're coming from, but it isn't. It doesn't apply here.
Okay. I had a call from the PDGA about hole 16 at the Phoenix Fall Classic because 17 people birdied it on the first day out of the 28 pro field. But the next day, only 5 birdied it.
The wind.
Yeah, the wind, but there was rain on the first day too. It was wet out there.
So, what's your point?
So his point was they had a less than 90% certainty that it should have been a par 3. And he sent me this email, and I was kind of confused by it, so I had to call the guy and ask him. And that's when he brought up the par means errorless play. So what does errorless play mean on hole 16? Well, for me, you're throwing a driver as far as you can up the fairway, because it's a 674-foot hole. And then you've got a mid-range or putter shot, depending on how close you get. If it's windy, usually there's a headwind on that hole once you get around the corner.
Always.
Oh my God.
Right.
Errorless play is looking like a 5 for me. I took a 6 on it at league this week. So
yeah, it's a tough hole, and it narrows as you get further down.
And he was suggesting it be a par 3.
No, he's wrong. He's not even close to right.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at the scores on the second day, my goodness, there was a lot of 6s and 7s. I think Gossage took a 6 on that hole, and he won the tournament.
Right. Yeah, wind is a factor. You're always going to have that. I would imagine in any tournament scenario, any league scenario, any going out playing on your favorite course, it changes day to day based on the environment, based on the wind, the ground wet. You know, are you able to plant properly?
Sure.
All of that factors in.
Right.
So the length on that alone is close to 800 feet, isn't it?
Which one?
The one in question.
Hole 16 is 674, but that's probably as the crow flies, where it kind of bends around the corner.
It doesn't. It plays another 100 plus longer.
It feels like it, yeah.
Well, not only that, it's uphill. Off that tee box, that is uphill.
Slightly uphill, yeah.
It's definitely uphill. It's more than you think. And then, but you have to play a hyzer to get it to sit in the fairway.
For a righty and a lefty, you've got to throw a hyzer just to make sure it stays in the middle.
Right. So
right
there, uphill,
left and right.
hyzer plays longer.
Yeah.
And then your second shot is, it isn't any easier. So
I just thought that discussion was pretty interesting. And
I can see where it would be.
Yeah. And then that made my thought, well, if a 300-foot hole that's wide open, shouldn't that be a par 2? Airless would mean that you're in the circle every time. 300 feet. Most golfers have 300 feet.
Right. No, no. No, just means you're a good player.
Okay.
Or you threw the shot perfectly.
Yes.
But it isn't the norm.
Well, how is perfectly not considered errorless?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to define that.
It isn't baseball, maybe.
Sure. But also, maybe par doesn't need to come into play for golf. Maybe the definition of par needs to change for disc golf.
Well, based on how you're wording it and visualizing it, yes, I suppose.
Well, that goes back to your point of many episodes ago about how disc golf should be separating itself from golf.
Completely. As much as possible, other than the name, in my opinion. I still hear the word greens out there, and I feel that that's very, it's not only misleading, but it doesn't have the proper context, especially when you have cool radiuses like disc golf has.
Yeah.
Circle 1, circle 2. That's great, because that's what it is, and it should be throwing inside that perimeter. Green has nothing to do with it. I think those are just bad habits carried through.
Well, a lot of players use it as a term that people understand in general.
Right. Get over it.
They just adapt the green because it's easy.
If you talk to a surfer, you're not going to understand 9/10 of what he's talking about in terms of the moves that they made on the wave, paddling out, this, that, or the other. It's
most definitely not.
Yeah. The nomenclature for that is off the charts. It's like a totally different language.
Yeah. Might as well be speaking German.
But exactly. And so disc golf has a little of that as well. And I think that's okay.
Yeah, nobody uses the word
We'll
hyzer.
circle back around to this. Should we, because there are some things that have really come up that I want to touch on too.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay. So signature discs.
Oh, we're back to signature discs.
Yeah. I mean, you're bringing up a point about these that you think they should have some degree of separation from the standard offering of the same disc.
They should be going a little bit farther above and beyond for their pros.
Beyond a stamp, beyond a name.
Yeah.
Right.
They're charging me more money for an Orbit Grace. Right? If they had stock stamp Orbit Graces, they would cost as some of the other Orbit discs would. But they cost a little extra on these ones because the money goes to Tatar. Right. There's like a tour fund here.
Right.
But on top of that, this disc is amazing. Compared to a normal Grace, this would go in my bag. I don't like the stock stamp Graces. This one is an absolute dream of a flyer. 375 on a pure hyzer, gliding and overstable. It's so hard to hit that combination on the head, and they really did it with this.
Well, there you go.
So
to your point, so you probably sell a lot of those.
We sell out of them super quick because they're amazing.
Right.
But then you look at like the Garrett Girthy Emperors, which I've had forever. It's not a normal. It's just a normal Emperor.
Okay.
There's nothing special about it.
Unless Garrett's showing it.
Sure, then it looks pretty great.
Looks really good. We're all a fan of Garrett.
I was just watching a distance competition with him today.
Yeah.
But then kind of looking around at some of the other plastics, the Discraft stuff is nobody talks to me about how popular this plastic is on the Tour Series. Nobody's really excited about the Tour Series Discraft stuff, except for Brody's Zone OS. When he had that bottom stamp Zone OS, people liked that. But people weren't overly excited for it like they were the Graces or the Lozatos.
Right.
I mean, Trilogy seems to be doing the best job at providing plastics. Pardon me, Dusty.
Well, there's a lesson in there then for manufacturers. I hope they hear you.
I would love it if they did.
I mean, they should, because you're a general out in the war zone here. If you don't listen to your generals, you're not going to win.
Yeah,
plain and simple.
that's right. You can't pretend like you know everything.
Not when you're sitting in a cubicle in Michigan and designing all day long.
Right.
Cool design, cool artwork, cool this, cool stamp,
right.
cool that.
Mm-hmm.
But
it doesn't do anything.
If you're telling them right now, which you are, when your discs aren't varying from a signature disc, they're not spending the extra money. Even though they may love the player, they won't necessarily do it. These are tougher times right now too, financially, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And disc golf isn't necessarily known as the big spenders out there.
No, we're a pretty blue collar sport.
Pretty blue collar. Yeah. For the time being.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
Ebbs and flows, always.
Yeah. So was golf for a period of time. Before Arnold Palmer, there wasn't a lot of prestige in golf. There was etiquette, and there were rules, and there were things and how players carried themselves. But still, it was pretty loose.
Okay.
It's only from Arnold Palmer forward. You could say Bobby Jones. Bobby Jones is the one who built Augusta, and he sort of handed the reins over to Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer, and who then handed the reins over to Tiger Woods. And now you could say whoever is number one now. There isn't a single person like Tiger or like Jack or like Arnie. That person hasn't arrived yet. They're good players. The field's deep. A lot of people can win, just like disc golf now. Money's gotten a little better. Field's gotten a little deeper.
Yep.
And that's what happens, right? But I forget why I was going that direction.
We were going down that because of the prestige of disc golf and about these discs and players.
Yeah. Well, again, you're right. They're not spending. The clientele that you're seeing and the clientele that's out there across the country isn't spending a great deal. Although the average, according to that fan.
That was pretty entertaining to read, the UltiWorld article.
The UltiWorld article. Shout out to those guys for doing the work.
The survey must have been killer. The way they took the data and then wrote the article about every piece of data.
Yeah.
Because it was a long survey.
Yeah, very. Very. I absorbed it. And what I found interesting from your perspective is that at least 80% of disc golfers purchase between 6 and 30 discs annually. That's good news.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
80% of the people that come in here, you have the potential to sell them between 6 and 30 discs. Now, I know there's going to be some people, myself included, that might skew that by buying more.
Well, the newer players are going to buy more. So who knows if the new players actually took that survey or even knew it existed.
Yeah.
New players are trying to get their hands on everything.
Yeah.
And that article, I don't think, went over if it was buying new discs or used discs.
It was just discs.
Or just discs in general.
Right. Well, that's a good question.
Because there are fans, we went over this, I think, an episode or two ago about, I have people that come in that buy nothing but used discs. They will not buy a new disc.
Yeah.
Because they don't know if they're going to like it or not. So they'd rather try it used. Maybe if they like it, then they'll buy a new one.
Right.
Where you're the opposite.
I am. I'm a disc snob. But if I like it, as you know, I have no problem ripping through there and getting a couple more.
That are already beat up. Beautiful.
Yeah. And I found a stag in here that is my straightest, almost longest flyer of anything I've got.
That orange chameleon?
No, it's a blue one. The orange it's got a great fade on it, so I can count on that thing to come down. Whereas the other I can count on to go a little straighter and then slowly kind of come back.
Good. So you're actually narrowing your back.
Oh yeah, I'm anxious for this coming season. I really am. I'm less confused.
Good.
Yeah, I think it is too. But I'm no less intrigued with all of this because I find it fascinating. Like, here's a guy in his 50s, John McRae, right?
Yep, big fan of that guy.
Huge.
The ageless wonder, they call him.
Yeah, and he just went through a heart attack.
Yep, on the course.
Comes back, body physically looks like he went through an entire change. Cut the beard.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, he looks like a totally different dude.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'll tell you, from a marketing perspective, that's a really smart thing that he's done.
Okay.
Because as a business owner, I like his story. I like his look. I can put money behind someone like that. So outside of the disc golf, you know, these guys have got to start thinking about bringing in revenue from outside of disc golf.
Most definitely.
They do. And a John McRae story is a good story. I would find a pharmaceutical company for that guy. I really would.
Maybe CVS would sponsor him.
Well, no, I would find the drug that probably helped get his ticker in shape. And
okay,
if he's on Ozempic or whatever it is that he lost all the weight and all this kind of craziness, he looks like $1 million. And his body is still very athletic.
Yeah. He was quoted as, the older I get, the farther I throw.
Yes.
There's hope.
There's hope. But you got to stay in shape. You got to stay on your game.
Yep.
All that. You got to stretch.
Always.
Man,
stretching, dude.
That's the key.
It's so hard to be disciplined for stretching.
Yeah. It's okay to move weights around like Ezra does and get the big shoulders. Part of me thinks that Drew Gibson and this elbow injury that he talks about, he bulked up quite a bit. From the first videos I see of him,
yeah,
he's not that guy.
Right.
And it didn't even look like he had a body shape to be that guy. But he ends up being stockier, and he's got arms on him, so he's definitely hitting the weights. But as someone that's put some time in the gym myself, that puts in a tremendous amount of stress on your joints.
A lot more impact, huh?
Tons more impact in the reps. And if you're doing heavy reps, because they're bulking. Those guys are bulking.
Yeah, exactly. They're not doing light weight.
They're not doing, you're right.
They're pushing heavy stuff.
They're pushing heavy stuff.
To get bigger. Yeah.
Right. So that's gonna wear down things that he counts on for his livelihood. And look at, boom, last year he's out. But he's all bulked up. He looks good. He's got all this tattooed stuff going on, you know. We all want to see him out there and throwing long. I do. But at the same time, it's like, man, are you making the right decisions on some of this stuff?
Yeah, got to find your priorities.
Yeah, you got it. Well, is more stretching, less lifting. All right. You want to look a certain way and look cool, and you got some money and some swagger, but at the end of the day, that goes away fast if you can't play.
Good point. You're going to lose it if you don't keep relevant.
Right? And he works his ass off now with these videos, but I don't really care at the end of the day about his videos. I want to see him in the playing field.
Yeah, maybe he's trying to take after Simon, but Simon's doing both. Simon doesn't have to try, it feels like, with what he's done.
Well, and that's a little bit of the dilemma I think that these players are in right now, is that Simon has done something and Eagle's done something, and in a way that draws all this attention to themselves when they're not playing. That brings value on top of their playing,
yep,
which we all know about.
And you care more.
Right, but now if you almost feel like everyone's sort of forced to do this, to copy that template.
Right.
And get out there and on YouTube and throw it around the park, and it doesn't have to be perfectly edited, and it doesn't have to have like a theme to it. Just
keep pumping out content.
Just put content out there. Let people see what you're doing.
Wow, it feels exactly like that.
It does, doesn't it?
Yes.
And I think it's kind of a slippery slope, because as someone who wants to advertise and put dollars into a stable of players, I look at it like that's a two-edged sword, man, because if I don't like some of the stuff that you're doing in that respect, or I see some of your personality come out that maybe isn't what I'm looking for,
yep,
you're out. But it can work the other way too, of course. You know, hey, this guy's got a great personality. He's obviously got some funny things that he's saying, or he's saying things that I think are the right things to be saying. Whatever. You can't please everybody. Don't try and please everybody. Just be yourself. But I just find it maybe not the best way for disc golfers to put all of their eggs into that basket, hoping that disc golf manufacturers throw them enough bacon to last the next couple of years. Whereas that same effort going out in your regional territory to a local business that might actually care about seeing you succeed and putting a little something behind that. I think that's a better way to sell yourself. You know, but I understand. You can point at, well, look at my YouTube channel. I've got 10,000 people that follow me, and this will be good for your business. So that value does exist, and I get it. But at the same time, it's, man, it just seems like everyone and their brother now that wants to be a disc golfer has to crank this stuff out. And
well, I love what you said about, you know, having the local business sponsor your player to get your message out there, to get your business some exposure. But I know these guys got to be searching for more of a national sponsorship, right? Because these guys are on the YouTube, they're on the Pro Tour, they are on your television set, they're at your local courses, which might not, you know, the local pizzeria here might not see a huge return on investment for their sponsorship money when how many people are going to see Anthony Barella's wearing this pizzeria shirt in South Carolina when their store's in Mesa?
Yeah, there is a part of me that thinks that I should go agent up some of these guys, because I've got a background where I'm comfortable calling people of influence. And saying that I've got something that I want to sell you. This is what its value is, and this is why I think it's a good fit. I'm actually a good person.
Well, I think you're pretty much an expert at that.
For that. Well, I don't know about that, but I certainly am comfortable in that in that scenario, and representing people I believe in. I think could be an interesting thing. I'm not applying for a job. I'm just saying that there should be, if you're looking for agents out there as a disc golfer, you should be really hunting what that agent's doing. It isn't just with manufacturing. It isn't just that agent telling you, well, you got to do more on your YouTube channel. There's a lot more to that the agent should be doing too. And bringing to you, or bringing to that company, that I've got a stable of guys or women that I think it would be perfect for your brand, and this is why that person's a fit.
Well, you're just pairing up. You're a matchmaker.
You're always matchmaking. That is what agents should be doing. It shouldn't be all on, and that's where I'm finally circled it around. It shouldn't all be on these players to get out there and hustle. I think that's great that they're doing it, but I think they're doing it because they feel like they have to do it. And sometimes that comes through in what they're doing. It isn't so enjoyable as much as it is, I kind of got to do this because I love the sport so much and I want to throw disc next year at the highest level. That's what it's coming across like that with a lot of them.
How do you balance that?
Right.
You've got to be at the top of your game to keep yourself relevant, and you're trying to sell yourself to sponsors. I think you got to get an agent out there that can maybe work as hard for you as you are for yourself. And if it's not happening, man, you know, well, the sport's young, so I think that could flood in a little while. But so much of this is dependent now on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, in my opinion, doing all the right things to keep money coming in so that moms and dads sitting at home can see that their son's hobby can be more than just living in a van down by the river. I mean, and that's what we want the sport to become. It's great that they're doing it. And there's great stories about golfers, professional golfers, that were hustling the same way. I was driving around in my car, going to tournaments. We've all done it. And it's kind of a cool thing, but you don't want that to be forever. And so I think for us to get out of that, the Disc Golf Pro Tour has to keep bringing in revenue outside of the sport to increase these purses and advertising dollars, and then hopefully television comes behind it. Well, CBS has had quite a few events on lately. They just had the Pro Tour Championship on. Just a couple days ago. There's nothing better than that kind of exposure. It really,
I would love to see, well, again, we all would love to see the biggest tournaments of the year on some sort of platform like CBS or ABC Sports or ESPN with legit coverage.
Yes.
You know, and I'm not saying it isn't legit, because they're doing a hell of a job with what they got.
Oh yeah.
We're all very impressed with the step up from the year before.
They have made advancements. Every year they're getting a little bit better.
Right. So kudos to them. That isn't what we're saying. I think it just, for the sport to be able to get more money outside of the sport, it has to have those things happen. It just does. And it starts with players, and it starts with agents, and it starts with the Disc Golf Pro Tour and them making the right moves. Europe, we've talked about it almost every episode. They just have a different love or vibe or stereotype of the sport than we do here.
They have a much higher opinion about it.
Much higher opinion. Thank you. Much higher opinion. And that is where this has to be in the United States. We got to get away from the stuff.
The dude smoking weed in the woods, right?
We do. The sport has to have it. In order for all this to work, you know, there's a history there, and it's cool, and you can tell it, and we all respect the old heads. But at the same time, for this sport to get to where we want it to get,
we got to grow.
We got to move past it.
Yep. I will say, kind of just to go to the point before about coverage and legitimate coverage, I do not like watching golf on TV because it bounces around way too much. I like watching disc golf because it sticks with the main two cards, the guys that are in it. I want to see the top boys playing, top gals out there throwing missiles.
Well, I've watched a lot more golf than you, and it does do that.
Yeah.
It does bounce around, but at the same time, if Tiger's playing and he's in the lead, it never comes off a Tiger. They'll even go to a commercial, and they'll still have Tiger up in, like, somehow he's like still in the, like, don't forget Tiger's leading, you know, that kind of thing. But they do stay, in my opinion, sometimes too much with the leaders. I'd like to see someone who's making a run.
Oh, sure.
You know,
that's on a good streak.
That's on a good streak. Round. Yeah, let's watch the guy try and make his 6th or 7th or 8th birdie in a row. That's cool.
That is cool.
Because that's where the real pressure is, and he or she is performing through that. And I want to watch it.
The first, I don't want to say it was the first, but one of the big events that made it on to CBS or ESPN, one of the two, originally, like the big blow up of disc golf, when we first got on TV, was the Portland Open. And they did it like golf coverage. And I had such a hard time watching it because I was like, I couldn't keep up with, now this guy's putting. Oh, look, this guy's on hole 1. And here's this guy on hole 8 throwing his upshot. And it's like, my goodness, it's too much.
Right.
It's too much.
Right.
We got to slow this down a little bit and just like,
right.
It's not like golf where the shot takes forever to hit the ground or even to line up in the first place.
Correct. And you can see clear as day where they're going. Nothing's in the woods. Right?
Yeah, watching the Portland Open.
You're in the woods. Right, exactly.
Zigzags, man.
So it's a much different sport televised than this game is televised. This is a much harder sport to capture. The follow through, the flight, stuff like that is, I think, going to be really important going forward in live, so that people can see the disc when they can't see the disc, where it's going. I think more drone. I know a lot of people, I've heard bellyache about the drones, but they've got to bring more drones into this, because I do think that gives it a much better perspective, especially if it's in the woods coming out of the woods, or it's out of the woods going into the woods. You get a better perspective of what they're trying to do and how hard that shot is.
Well, you get the actual flight of potentially a disc of like, well, now what would you throw? This is a gap 200 feet down the fairway to a dog leg this way, right? So then you have to visualize that in your head when you're standing on the tee pad.
Yeah.
You've got to land here, and that's what commentary does too, is they paint an actual picture of where these trees are, where the water is, what the wind's doing. So then you can kind of piece it in your head. Oh, this is what I would throw there.
Yeah.
You always visualize yourself standing on that tee pad.
That's very true. That's very true and very important to know what they're looking at because
Yeah.
you want to immerse yourself as much as possible into that moment
You want to know what's going on.
with them. Yeah, can I pull that off? I mean,
You like to think so.
yeah, we all think we can play these courses as well as they can, and then you actually get to one of those courses and you're like, wow, my reality is so far off watching it on television versus reality.
That's one of the best feelings ever, though, right?
It is.
You just saw Calvin Heimberg last week on coverage. You watched the YouTube because you knew you were going to this course, right?
Yeah.
And now you're standing on that tee pad and you're looking at the shot he threw and you're like, jaws on the floor.
Right. How did he pull that off? This is like, it's amazing. That's 7 football fields away. It feels like. When I was at Pickard, I was like, my gosh, this is something else. These shots looked doable, but they're not.
When you were there a week after they had
Yeah,
played.
I was just there a couple days after. They were still, all the signs were still up.
Then the conditions were just because you don't think about exactly the conditions of it's hot. The grass is long.
That was another thing.
You're walking in sand, basically, with how long the grass is.
Right. There wasn't a single person that didn't lose 10 pounds that weekend.
The bugs.
No way. No way. It's incredible how hard that part of this sport is. It's not just an athletic move. You've got to be in shape.
Stamina, man.
Yeah. I got to, not bragging or anything, but I met up with Wysocki when he got back from the tournament. We went to the World Series, and I met him there. And when I gave him a bear hug, it was like nothing left of Ricky.
He was scrawnier than normal.
He was like, I'm like, dude, whoa. You're this big guy, but that just it told me everything I needed to know about how hard the sport really is at that level. No one works harder, it seems to me, than that guy when he's grinding coming in. He's a hard guy to beat, right?
Yep.
And when I gave him a bear hug, I was like, dude, I can feel your ribs, man. This is crazy. You are in amazing shape, but you're also, I can tell you're done. Like your season,
you're spent.
You're spent. There's nothing. And you say it was Stanley Cup is the hardest trophy in sport to win. In hockey is such a brutal sport on its own.
Yeah.
But then you have these 3 months of playoffs. And they say those guys, and you've seen those guys at the end of a Stanley Cup, they have nothing left. It's like Ricky Wysocki times a whole locker room. There's nothing left of these guys. And a lot of these guys show up to camp, they're 200, 220, ripped.
Yep.
And at the end of the year, they're all 180, 190. They're like, all that body weight's, that mass is gone. They're just so leaned out.
Mm-hmm.
And the sport is, I'm telling you, people are going to recognize that and they're going to start falling in love with this sport. But we've got to do some things. The Disc Golf Pro Tour is doing a lot of the right things. I don't know what happened with the awards. Well, first of all, why were the awards so late as to who's the best player of the year? That's one question I got for you. The other one is Big Germ and Yuli were doing the ceremony, and it was like casual Friday. There's no representation of, I'm not saying they have to wear a bow tie and all that kind of stuff, but he had a football jersey on, and he's talking about the best players of the year.
They didn't make it a very big deal, did they?
It didn't fit. It didn't fit with the elevation that this should have been. This was the work of someone for their entire year, and being the player of the year that's a nice honor. The Ken Climo Player of the Year. And you're being presented that, or we are all being presented that, with a guy wearing a Pittsburgh Steelers jersey. No offense to Yuli, I don't like your team, but but that's regardless. Where is the professionalism? And even if it isn't on Yuli, it's on the people that set it all up, and they didn't tell him what to wear or Germ what to wear. I think that's still on them to represent the sport in the best way possible. If there's a chance you're going to be on television, why the hell are you wearing a shirt like that? A jersey like that?
Yeah, you go into a bar, or are you presenting an award?
Yeah, you're going to record. Is it just a voice? So if he wasn't told that, then shame on the people who didn't tell him that.
Yeah.
So this is what we're trying to elevate the sport. And this isn't elevating the sport.
Yeah, you've got the guys that are kind of the face of it at the moment. You've got the main commentators, Big Germ and Paul.
Yeah. Both well-spoken. I like listening to both of them.
Great commentary.
Yuli's a local guy. We know his brother.
Yep.
So it's hard to say that, but at the same time, it's like, come on, guys. You know, Yuli's got his, his life seems to be pretty buttoned up. He's got what he needs.
Yeah.
If Yuli didn't have what he needs and he's trying to make a few more bucks, or do you think he would still have the same, would he go into it with the same lackadaisical effort?
No, I don't. I think he would put forth a little bit more effort.
Wouldn't he?
I would think
he's
so.
Trying to get more sponsorship. He's trying to put himself out there in a better light. And there's a chance that he's doing these awards and it's going to be televised.
Yeah.
Put something else on, man. Grab the guy behind the camera's shirt. It would have been better than that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
It isn't
completely agree.
This isn't your podcast. This was something important that we were all waiting a month to see, which was ridiculous. But
and I wonder how long they gathered the votes for that, because I don't quite.
Well, it shouldn't be up to us to vote anyway.
Oh, you know what? I did vote.
It shouldn't be up to us. Yuli mentioned that, and I couldn't agree more. That should be with whatever press, and it should be with the players. And it should be done.
Let the players
year
vote,
end. Everyone puts in their 2 cents, and it's done. And they should have an award ceremony probably there at the Tour Championship.
Oh, wow. Same day.
Do it. And then we can all watch it, and we'll all tune in. You got the players there who's going to win it. They're all there. Everyone's going to win that award probably there at the Tour Championship.
Yeah.
Right?
You would think so.
Yeah. Right.
You've had a good tour. You're going to be the best. Yeah.
You're there. Right? So do it there.
What about the most improved?
Get it
most
done.
Improved might not make it on the Tour Championship.
Get it done. And I know Jeff Spring must have, I mean, that dude juggles. He's a professional juggler. So at some point it's like, what battle is worth fighting today? You know, it kind of becomes one of those things in someone like his position, like they're running businesses as I've done. It's like sometimes I can't worry about that customer service thing. I hired a good person. They have to fix that. I've got to put out a bigger fire or do something else that's more vital to the company in this moment. I feel like Jeff Spring must have that on a regular basis.
Yeah.
He's got good people around him, but in this case, they really dropped the ball. They dropped the ball on getting it out too late, and they dropped the ball on the guys who we love, but they're there in casual Friday. You can't have that. Come on, man. You want sponsors to come in, and you can't even show them a sponsor that. I'm like, what sponsor would Nike see that and think, oh yeah, this sport's really come a long way? If that's the impression they get. Oof. Well, seriously.
Yeah.
You don't know when and who the right person for one of these major companies that could endorse disc golf and really step it up, what they're going to see. What that moment is that they see. Is
they're going to do their own research. That's for sure.
Well, that's another thing. They are. And it needs to be taken more seriously. That's all I'm saying. And you guys that are in those positions know better. You know better.
And that particular segment should be a bigger deal. You're talking about the best player.
Absolutely.
And it's an announcement of a pretty big award for the end of the season.
Absolutely.
It's a long season that all these players are fighting each other day in, day out to be the best.
Yeah.
And to earn that title should be a pretty big deal. So the fact that they showed up in PGAs is a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Never again. Never again. At least under my watch. Jeff, call me.
Yeah, hit this guy up. I'll hold your hand.
I just I love the game, and I want to see this game get to where we all know it can go. If you've played this game seriously at all, you know how beautiful it is, how hard it is.
We want everybody to enjoy it. We want it to be established.
Yes.
Have some credibility.
Yes, this is all coming from a good place. We just want to advance it. You can't pretend that it's we're going camping. It's again going back to the wives walking around on the golf course too, right? This is work. We're getting it done. You're in battle right now.
That's right.
This isn't walking down. This isn't a paid vacation for the summer for you to throw frisbees.
Time to focus.
Time to focus. Time to look professional. Step it up.
Let's go.
Man.
I'm motivated after that. That was the best locker room speech I've ever had.
Well, I don't know about that, but I am passionate and I do care about this sport. I know I'm fairly new into it, but sometimes it takes fresh meat for things to get going.
Oh, yeah.
To light a fire under some other people's ass to get them thinking the right way. This thing can be great, but
Move
you're going to
forward
have
and
to
get out the way.
You're going to have to make some changes, man. You're going to have to, fake it till you make it. Be bigger, act bigger than it is, and I promise you, money will follow. I promise you, it will. If you could get sponsors out there to see some of these guys throw these discs and as accurate as they throw these discs, they're going to be impressed with it. We've got to get them there.
Yeah, seeing it in person is a whole nother beast.
This is one of those things that doesn't transfer necessarily. Some of it does. Seeing the flight of the disc
is pretty entertaining.
Is fun to watch. More fun than golf because you don't see it. As soon as it leaves, you don't see it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And even when you're there, you really don't see it. You wait for it to land on the green. Oh, that was nice. Look, he's got a 10-footer.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's great. And he's so far away. That was amazing.
A lot of people yell mashed
I don't know.
potatoes.
I've done that my whole life, and I find this game to be much more interesting. That's
what I keep telling people,
needs an aesthetic makeover in a very big way.
Oof, aesthetic makeover.
Yeah, it does.
Got to work on our aesthetics.
Yeah, you do.
Well, that might be something for the next episode to go into the fashion of the sport.
I'm not talking about just fashion. I'm talking about tee to circle. Every hole should look like the Worlds this year was put on the best. That course comes through so nice.
Yep. Very entertaining.
It is very entertaining. It's beautiful to look at. It's sculptured out of the woods for disc golf.
Yes.
It isn't a golf course that's been manufactured to fit,
There's no silly out of bounds of just like painted lines on the ground.
That's why I really think they need to start looking at Eagle Crossing and other places like that to start, because that's built for the. Have you seen the flyover yet of Eagle Crossing?
Yeah, of course.
It's breathtaking.
It's awesome.
It's breathtaking.
That course looks like it's been in the works for like 10 years the way it was brought in.
Yeah, and I know it's out in the sticks and it's all this, that, but that's where history should be being made.
If you build it,
they got to figure it out. Right? They got to figure it out. There's a lot of money. There's Anheuser-Busch is sitting in that town, for Pete's sake. Let's get them involved, shall we?
That'd be a big sponsor.
And I
know. Good ROI on that too. Disc golfers like a beer.
Huge. It's huge. And they're owned by a European company, so you would think that it would be a good fit. I mean, I would be knocking on their door every day. What's going on?
You said you were looking for a job, but you sound like you're applying.
I'm just saying I would put a heck of an effort into getting this sport to where it needs to be. And I wouldn't do it for any reason personally other than just a pure love of...
You want to see it.
I do want to see it. I want to see more Anthony Barellas flood into this sport and it becomes something fantastic. I really do. I think these guys right now deserve more than they're getting. All of them.
Yeah.
I think they deserve more than they're getting. And I want to see them get more. So, you don't hate me so much now, I bet. But if it's up to me, I'm telling you. And I think Jeff Spring feels that same way. He knows what he's got. He knows the responsibility. He knows what he's expecting out of that team. He's working with the budget he's got, right?
Yeah.
He's chasing dollars. That's all he can do right now is chase dollars and put the courses where the dollars are coming from or where he thinks they'll be. And
that's why the whole tour moved to the East Coast this year.
That was a good move. It was a good move. I mean, they still kept Vegas. I think Vegas is back on the schedule now.
Yeah, it's on like May now.
Yeah.
As a Silver Series, I want to say.
But if anyone thinks the Disc Golf Pro Tour isn't what's going to ultimately drive this, they're mistaken. It isn't the PDGA. No.
Oh, of course not, because
no, they're the foundation. They're a big part of the glue that keeps it together.
Yep,
for sure. But it's really the power is really with the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Do you agree?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Because they're the ones that are in your face. The PPGA is not in your face. They just are part of it.
Yeah.
They're regulating the tournament. That's all they do.
Right.
They sit back and collect the dough from the Pro Tour for hosting their events.
So support them, and we'll do whatever we can on our end to keep bringing attention to this great sport, and hopefully getting more money in players' hands and bigger purses and all of that.
All the work I do is at the local level at the moment. Besides this is a little bit outside, posting on the internet.
But it has to start at the local level.
Has to.
All of it. All the TDing you're doing and all of that is that's the engine, man. That is what it has. That's where these kids are going to come from that are going to go forward. They're coming from these events locally, and they're feeling supported and they're getting supported. I know you're putting money into some of the younger talent with the store and everything else.
Yeah, we sponsor some youth players.
That's huge. It's great. It's great. So
you love to see the excitement out of those kids.
Yeah.
To have their first sponsor.
Right. Makes you feel pretty good, I bet.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Incredible. What else you want to go after?
What else did we have to talk about?
These discs?
Could keep talking about discs. Got lots of cool ones.
I think we made the point on them, though.
Yeah.
There are a lot of cool ones here. This has probably been, would you say, next to Simon Lizotte, James Conrad's Envy has sold. What's sold better than the James Conrad Envy in the last 3 years since 21?
I don't know. Well, the glitch, even though it's a new release, I've sold a lot of glitches.
Sure. But that's not a signature, though. I'm saying signature.
No, signature discs. Shoot, nothing sold better than the Envy, hands down.
And we all,
by far,
it is such a great.
Well, he even got me throwing one for a little bit. Yeah. I had to try it. I don't really buy into a lot of hype, but the Envy, I had to. I felt obligated.
Yeah. Well, it fits. I think it fits a spot where that distance for me is right around 200 to 220.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great. Pull it up. I know I'm going to throw it somewhere in there.
Well, it's got an amazing torque resistance.
And
a lot of putters don't. That one, you can put everything you have onto it.
Right. So great.
On a lot of different angles. That's what makes it really, really fun.
Dusty. Well, that's pretty good. I don't know. We probably put in a
really solid flow of discussion.
A good little off-season
rant.
Yeah. I had a little time away to think about things, and I come back, and I wasn't necessarily happy with some of the stuff I've seen. I think these one-year contracts that are going out are players, do whatever you can, man, to hold on to. I understand the dollars are there to help. Hey, another year in the sun, right? Another year to throw Frisbees. But unless you're at the end of your career, I don't see how a one-year deal is going to help you. I just don't, unless you're trying to get that hit, where you can win a major or you can win a Elite Plus.
Is a one-year contract going to kind of look like your job history? Like, why have you had 6 jobs last year? That's not a good look.
It's not a good look.
Is a one-year contract kind of go the same way for sponsorships?
I don't think it's a good look. I don't. Not in this case. I don't. And now you've got to learn these discs. Is it O'Connor?
Connor O'Reilly.
Connor O'Reilly just went to Lone Star. Now he's been Latitude 64 for 2 or 3 years, right?
Yep.
Now he's got to learn a new disc. He got 1 year. Really?
And he's making a lot of content for them. I don't think he was pumping out as much content when he was with. It feels like Lone Star maybe signed something there. There was something in that contract that's forcing him to put out more stuff.
Do we know how long it takes these guys to really adapt to the new discs? We saw Simon have success right out of the gate, but is that the norm, or is it more
for the pros, they can grab these discs and know what they like. They already know what they like, so they just got to
Right.
find it in the next company over and see if they can make it work.
You don't think in the back of their mind that there is,
Their confidence,
especially year one, when you've got under a pressure situation, is this really the disc that I feel super confident in?
Now the confidence probably isn't there, but they
not
can
at
make it
100%.
work. Sure.
Yeah, but you're going to throw it anyway. So
I mean, Katrina Allen, she signed with DGA. It must have been the week before the Las Vegas Challenge, and then she went on to win it with DGA. That has to be some kind of record between new sponsor winning a tournament.
Yeah, well,
not just a tournament, like a really big tournament.
Yeah, well, yeah. If she only had the week, yeah, I wouldn't think she only had the week, but if she did, then that's probably a record. You're right. Yeah,
but it doesn't always go that way. I mean, you look at pros that have moved around. Kona went to Trilogy and struggled.
So I thought Parker Welk was going to be Discraft. Obviously, it's DGA.
Yeah.
He was wearing a DGA shirt at the Big Arm Challenge. You can watch it on the Disc Golf Guys.
And it's a really entertaining
channel.
watch.
It's a great watch. Yeah.
Badass tournament, man. Really cool layout. Yeah. And just watching these guys rip is always just...
I have to say, I wish they'd get rid of the other baskets, but I know they have other players out there. But for the Memorial, it'd be cool to see that course played on the last day. That would be cool.
It would be cool
if they did that. I
don't think they will. They got to use their park space where they have it. Well, I mean, Tommy made really good. Well, yeah, they have it. It's just they don't use it like Tommy does. Tommy did a really good job at developing a course that was going to be away from the foot traffic and still flowed really well.
That's my point. So why not use it just for the last day? Because there's no more amateurs on. It's just pros on the last Sunday.
If I had to guess, it would be the effort. You've got to assemble a bunch of baskets and put out the tent baskets. So let me run it and I'll do it.
But that's my point. That's my point about this. We want to elevate this game. It takes hard work.
Well, the Memorial's gone downhill over the past 5 years, so there's no way you're going to sell that to them.
Yeah. Again, that's why
you guys should do better.
That's why fresh blood sometimes is what sport needs.
Yeah.
Is people coming in that see the potential and want to light a fire under people that maybe have been doing it too long.
Yeah.
And they're a little tired of it, you know. They're too into that routine and they don't like breaking out of the routine. It's comfortable. You know? Sorry. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. And there should be goals. What do you want to do with this thing? It can't just be
yeah, we got to keep shooting here.
Right.
We got to keep reaching.
Is it just going to just run its course until it doesn't? Oh, that was a good run. No. You got an opportunity.
Yeah, make the most of it, man.
I mean, you had the tour here for a while, man. I mean,
long time.
How are you going to get it back? And it just doesn't seem like that.
No, I don't think that is
a priority.
Back. Yeah,
working with the city to get new tee boxes or designing a new vista layout in a way that the sidewalks
coexists a little bit better.
Right.
Because every hole on the normal layout you're throwing at people.
I don't know. Okay.
I don't either, man. It's tough.
It was good.
It was good.
I don't have anything else I can pull out right now.
I know I saved my voice all day for this, and I'm still starting to feel a little wary.
Don't sign a 1-year deal.
Don't do it.
Unless you absolutely, positively have no other options. Man, don't do it. I just don't think in the long run that's what you want. So
believe in yourself.
Yeah. Play an open bag, man. Play an open bag. Bet on yourself. I mean, what is that contract worth? Is it I can't play on the tour without it? Well, then go find money somewhere else. Play an open bag and go make it happen. You'd probably be hungrier.
Which might be a good thing.
Might be a great thing. Less distracted. Less about the party on the weekend if you're playing good or you're playing bad. Tour golfers don't hang out with each other for a reason. I'm not talking about disc golf. I'm talking about the PGA
Really?
No, they don't share houses. They don't do any of that shit. They are dialed in business.
Wow.
Business. It's a business. They're surrounded by their teams. There's more money in it, but if we're going to get this sport to that location, some change.
Time to start some focus.
You got to start changing some of this stuff.
Shoot.
You just do.
I would have not.
It isn't
never
the
known
summer.
that.
It isn't the summer of love, free and love, and
We all got the Airbnb and we had the DJ in the
yeah,
backyard.
the 2024 tour isn't Woodstock 69. It isn't. It shouldn't be. I know it's cool, it's got its culture, I'm all about that. But at the same time, you should be wanting to do everything in your power to make this be your living in the best way possible, not getting by.
Show your drive a little bit, huh?
Oh,
Time to shift gears.
time to shift gears. The sport is on the verge of something great. You feel it. But it's going to require change. And the Disc Golf Pro Tour is doing everything they can. Jeff Spring's doing everything he can. It's up to everyone else to do everything they can. All right. Episode 11.
We did it. Welcome back.
All right, everyone. See you next week.
Have a good night, guys. 55.
Hour 2.